What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to discuss Sly 5 once again, but this one, obviously taking it a little bit different. You can see by the title, obviously. This has been kind of big news in the Sly Cooper community, if there even is a Sly Cooper community, which I do think there is one. There's a lot of very, very passionate Sly Cooper fans, and that's the point, really, of this video, and also kind of what's happened over the last couple weeks in the Sly Cooper community in general. We had lead designer of Sanzaru Games, Matt Kramer, going on Kind of Funny, who I've always loved Kind of Funny. I stopped watching them for quite a bit, or at least this kind of that kind of style of video that they do. Greg Miller like interviewing people, so I didn't actually catch this, but I wish I did. The first day. But there was a lot of talk about Sly in that interview, or mainly towards the end. We got a little bit of tidbits into Sly, and basically the message overall is that if we want more Sly, we need to let Sony know. And they had talked about, and I've seen different channels, very, very good channels, talk about what he was talking about. He talked about episodes. Is he talking about a DLC? Is he talking about literally just one episode in that game that's completed? He's not I don't personally think he's talking about a completely new game that's completed of Sly Cooper that they're just waiting on, you're good to release it. That's not what he's talking about. But the message overall remains the same, and it remains actually what I've always been saying over these past videos. Kind of sucks because I've heard people say literally the exact same things that I've been saying for, I believe, over a year and a half now. And here's what it is for those that are new. Firstly, again, we need to let Sony know that we like Sly. How do you do that? Well, he said you can tweet them. Tweeting them, I think, is a valid option. I think it's also just one option, though. These kind of videos right here, anybody that makes a video on Sly Cooper, I'm not like a cocky, everybody higher up watches these videos. I'm not one of those guys, okay? I don't think that heads of companies or whatever watch. But at the same time, there is power to YouTube in general. People in higher places find other people based off of YouTube videos. Don't think that there isn't somebody, not necessarily literally every day monitoring how much Sly Cooper traffic pops up on the internet, but there are people out there that take a look at these things and don't, maybe they don't necessarily look at the video, but they have metrics, they have a way of analyzing it, and I'm sure there's ways of seeing hey, Sly is kind of still a popular thing, and here's how we can prove it. Here's the numbers. And you know how those numbers get buffed? It's by these kind of things. Not just my videos, obviously, but anybody, again, who talks about Sly. So there's lots of ways, I think, to support Sly Cooper or to ask for Sly Cooper. Tweeting Sony directly, yeah, that's a good one. Sanzaru, even, that's a good one. But even just watching all these kind of things for YouTube videos, for Twitter, for any, making art. I saw somebody say that, making a Sly Cooper art thing. All of those things, definitely valid ways of doing it. But here's the point, and here's where this ultimately leads. It does. I know I said Sly 5 in the title. Okay, sorry, I led you on. It does eventually lead to Sly 5. Okay, so I'm not lying to you. Sly 5 eventually comes out of all this. But what comes first is a test. And I saw this. I think it was that Canadian guy who I think is actually he seems like a really good guy, at least. I've watched a few of his videos, mainly on Crash Team Racing. But I saw him say, and it's, again, literally what I've been saying since I made a video a year and a half, 2 years ago, where they need to do another test. That's what Crash, that's what Spyro have been, and that's what they were. And I've been saying that their tests, Activision has said, okay, do people still like this game now? They liked it back then. Do they still like it now? Answer, yes. That was the answer. And what do you get from that? Well, rumor has it there's a new, an actual new Spyro game. Rumor has it there's a new Crash game. And even if there's not a new Crash game, there's more remakes coming. And then after that, there'll be a new Crash. So the remakes, are, they put effort into a property that's older. They kind of bring it to life in 2019, in 2020, in 2018, whatever year it is. They bring it to life, and they say, okay, here you go. We put in our effort. Will people buy this? Do people still like Crash, Spyro, Medieval, Shadow of the Colossus, Final Fantasy VII, all of these games? Do people, and now not all of them are for the intent of making a new game in the franchise. That's not the intent of all of them, but some of them it is. And that's exactly what Sly needs. The biggest way, again, I've always said this, the biggest way to test, and it kind of sucks that is where, again, he's just the lead designer at Sanzaru, okay? So he's not the most extremely high up there. Sanzaru is not like the biggest game developer in the world, right? So it's not like he's like top of the food chain, but it kind of sucks that at least how he thinks of it is like, this is what we have to do. The answer or the question of what we have to do should just be buy their game that they're giving us. That should be the situation. The way of testing us to see if we still want Sly, in my opinion, has always been not tweet at them and see how many tweets we can get. That's not the answer. My answer has always been just remaster them, remake them, put them in a different, like however you want to do it. I know for PS3, they obviously put them all together. I think it was a remaster. I believe it was a remaster collection. So they did up some things about it, but it wasn't like a full remake. It also didn't include Thieves in Time. So stuff like that. Maybe for the PS5, you put all 4 games together and they're slightly higher res. Like, I mean, we're past the age, I think, of remasters. We're more in the age of remakes. But hey, put all 4 together, call it a remaster, definitely do something, like definitely remaster them in some way. It'll run better on the PS5 anyway, right? You do all that, and will people buy it? I think that is still a little unfair because you are giving us literally the exact same game, just a little higher res. I think a remake would definitely bring more revitalization to the franchise, so I think a remake is better than a remaster, but still, I think you gotta, like, no matter what they do, if it's a bad decision on their end, if they make a stupid call, that's on them, yeah. But at the same time, we're talking about a franchise we all want to survive, and so you kind of just have to go with it. You know what I mean? Like it's not it's not like a sports franchise where, like, yeah, they can put a dumb product out there for you to watch, and you don't have to watch it because you know eventually it'll get better, and you're also sending a message. It's not like that because you know that sports team is still going to be around in 2, 3, 4, unless it gets relocated or something. You know it's going to still be there. For a game franchise, Sony could definitely just leave it. Okay, so if you don't support, even if they make bad calls and they say, okay, well, it's just not necessarily a port, but it's like one step up from a port, and we're going to put it out. You can't really, like, yeah, we can complain, and I'm sure we will, and I'll even complain, vocally on the channel. But I think you still have to support it, right? Because you got to show Sony that we still care, that's what we want. And then what does that get us? Oh, they still want Sly. The sales are really good. Maybe not amazing, but they're really good. And we got the core. We still have the core. Now we need to add to it, and that's where a new game comes in. That's where Sly 5 comes in. So that's how we get a Sly 5, okay? In the short term, yes, really talking about it is the only way to get a future Sly game at all. Anything. If we want to have this franchise continue going forward, which I know, I mean, I'm making some of these videos, some of them you may seem are repetitive, but like, I care about this franchise, and all I want is basically more to talk about with it, right? So I want more things to discuss, so I want more games. That's pretty much what I mean. It's a simple request, guys. I just want more Sly. But, I mean, all joking aside, that's the goal. So up until that point, up until we get a new game, there's really, sadly, like I said, like back to the thing, that should be what we have to do, is just buy a game. That's all. I mean, that's it. Just buy it, which, I mean, yeah, it's not nothing, right? We have to spend our hard-earned money on it, but at least, like, if you do that, then immediately you're sending a message that I support this property or I support this product. Up until then, we don't even have anything to support because there's nothing out. The only thing we can do is what Matt Kramer said, which is just talk about it. Tweet, art, I don't know, anything. I'm not on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever. I mean, whatever your social media platform is. But you do something. That's why I'm making YouTube videos too. Even if they get a couple hundred, couple thousand, that's still a couple hundred or couple thousand people that care. And again, I'm not saying a person high up in Sony is watching this video and saying, hey, look, like there's people, but I think that, again, like if you look at metrics and stuff, you can see how much Sly or Sly Cooper or Sly 5, any of those things, you can see how much they're searched. You can see the interest. You can gauge the interest on the internet. And how does that interest even or what are those numbers that they're looking at? What are those charts? It's this. It's the YouTube video that you guys are watching. It's the Canadian guys' YouTube videos. Like those kind of things. That helps. At the end of the day, that helps. So as of right now, this is really the only thing we can do to get a new Sly, is we talk about it. We talk about it, we make things, and we just kind of support each other and get through until there's something to physically purchase. At the end of the day, the world's run on money. So you got to give them money to show them that you support their thing. At the end of the day, that's what we're waiting for. But for now, it still does. I would love the opportunity to be able to buy a product from them if they did it. But until then, it's honestly just on us to keep the talk going, to keep the conversations going, and that's why, to end this video, I still want to know your comments, your ideas in the comment section below. I want to make more Sly videos. As I just said, I think they're rather important that we continue them. So make sure you're letting me know in the comments anything you want me to talk about regarding Sly. I'm literally up for anything. Give your suggestions, as many as you want, in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. There'll be more Sly videos. I try to do them every 2 to 3 weeks, so that's going to generally be it. Make sure you have that. Firstly, make sure you're subscribed. Secondly, make sure you have that bell icon rung so you know, we do so many different kinds of videos, so make sure you're keeping out for when these videos drop. Again, every 2 to 3 weeks is my hope, okay? So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you all in the next video.